NATO Secretary Mark Rutte warns the UK that if they don't cut their social spending to spend more on the military, that they will be speaking Russian soon.
Increase defense spending, you will come to the political question where to get it from. And then it's up to the politicians and the national consensus how to do this. And there are generally three areas. You can increase taxation, you can increase the debt, or you can try to find savings elsewhere. But this is up to national politicians, not up to me. I only need to make sure that collectively we have what we need to prevent us from taking out the Russian language courses.
Anti-Russian hysteria in Europe has officially reached critical levels. Is Mark Rutte and NATO implying that Russia is on the verge of taking over the UK? Isn't it interesting the narrative that comes from neocons like Mark Rutte and NATO is that Russia has been exposed as weak and they are struggling on the battlefield against Ukraine? While at the same time, if we don't stop them now, they are going to take over the entirety of Europe. Our enemy being weak, feckless, and incompetent, but at the same time being a dire threat that we must take down right now, it's just a typical neocon playbook to brainwash people into supporting their conflict. European states are cutting their social programs and implementing austerity in order to boost their military spending, in order to prepare for a hypothetical war against Russia that can easily be avoided. What do you guys think is easier? Destroying the quality of life for your own people because of increased energy costs and cutting social spending and plunging the world into World War III? Or simply having Ukraine as a buffer state? Yes, our ruling class is willing to plunge us into World War III and sacrifice our quality of life because they can't accept Ukraine as a buffer state. Because they want Ukraine into NATO? There isn't enough conversation about how the ruling class is made up of complete psychopaths. Volodymyr Zelensky is now complaining that the United States has abandoned Ukraine in order to help Israel.
We counted on these 20,000 missiles. Today in the morning, my Minister of Defense told me that the United States moved it to the Middle East.
Zelensky is just now realizing that he was the dirty side piece the entire time. Zelensky is upset at the United States for redirecting military supplies that was meant to Ukraine to the Middle East to help Israel commit their genocide. This comes as Donald Trump is cutting aid to Ukraine, and Pete Hegseth personally put in an order to redirect focus back to the Middle East. Zelensky is delusional in thinking the Zionist-controlled West would ever favor him over their settler colonial project. You know the same settler colonial project that Zelensky loves? The same one that he wants to implement in Ukraine? Yes, Zelensky said that he wants Ukraine to become big Israel, and he wants Ukraine to replicate the Zionist model. Now do you guys see why ethnic Russians in the Donbass don't want to be part of Ukraine? Even Europe is putting pressure on Zelensky by refusing new sanctions on Russia until Ukraine allows more Ukrainian teenagers to be drafted and murdered fighting for the NATO war machine. European leaders are absolute psychopaths who want to rob Ukraine their future, fighting a war that can't be won. Zelensky sold out his people and destroyed his country following the direction of the West. I really hope that Taiwan is paying attention and learn from Ukraine's fatal mistake.
What's poppin'? My friends, my family, you guys know I'm always in the lab cooking. Hope you guys enjoyed the intro videos. Welcome to another banger collaboration between RBN and DDG. Like I'm looking now, like between both of us, like I love doing these streams because we already got like 730 climbing, watching. Of course, because we stream on DDG's X and YouTube. You have my X account and then RBN YouTube. It's a great way to reach a lot of people. What a life hack we discovered, Sarah. Always fun doing the shows.
How are you?
Sarah, amazing geopolitical analyst and intellectual, I would say. What's up, my friend?
On some days.
Or Sundays, you could be that person cussing out the Zionist idiots in the Twitter
I was
space.
literally just cursing out a Zionist on a space. Because he was telling me, he was like, Hamas has become synonymous with Palestinian governance. And I was like, that is the most Zionist talking point I've ever heard. You say that because you want to, keep the narrative going that you're destroying Hamas, blah, blah, blah. But it's clear that Fatah and the PA have been boosted by the mainstream media. It's just like silly Zionist talking point.
Yeah, I'll be listening to Sarah give these dudes the business. I'm gonna participate one day. A lot of times I'll just be listening because usually after a show I'm usually doing something at the same time, but they're always fun. I want to get your thoughts on this. We got a lot to cover today.
Oh yeah, there actually is.
To cover today. Since I did my hotspots video, we're gonna cover Zelensky and a little bit of Ukraine first. You guys know DDG does a great report on this, but you guys see the title of the video. I can't wait to get to the Elon story. That's the fun story of the day for that we're gonna be covering today. We're also gonna be covering the LA protest. You guys finally get to hear my take. Sorry I haven't been live as much as I used to, guys. I've been focusing on. You guys know I just moved, so there's a jiu-jitsu gym, BJJ gym just down the street. So I've been focusing on that. And you guys know I'm always in the lab cooking hotspot, so you guys get to hear our take on that. But let's start with Ukraine first. And I found this headline very hilarious. I'm gonna start with this, Sarah. Feel free to take it wherever you want. But I'm gonna start with this because I found this hilarious. Because Zelensky realizes that he's not like cool like Israel. Like he's a puppet cool. Like the West likes him as a puppet. But he thought he was like Netanyahu. Nah, bro. Like he's not that tight with us. And now even Europe is clapping down on Zelensky. And think about how psychotic these people are. Where it said allies, they refuse to impose new sanctions on Russia, which Zelensky is calling for, because Ukraine refused to implement a draft to draft teenagers. So think about this. We have European leaders that is calling for Ukrainian teenagers to die for NATO. Sarah, you can take it from there.
This is something that Zelensky has tried to avoid because this is like, especially for Slavs and people in Eastern Europe, this is like the end of the line to start recruiting the 18-year-olds. If you've noticed, Zelensky's average soldier was pretty high. The average age of soldiers was in the 50s at one point. I believe it's in the 40s now. And that's just how war is. You don't want to put your youngest generation on the front line. This is the type of war that we see traditional warfare, where it's a war of attrition, and you're going in with the expected with casualties to be expected. That's not how America fights wars. So this is something that Zelensky has avoided, and rightfully so. So I think that this is actually a positive thing from Zelensky, if that makes sense. He doesn't want to lower the age, because I think that will really be, he's already suffering from very low approval rating. And obviously people are unhappy. There's another one today. They're starting to blow up and to light they're called TCCs, the recruitment stations, the conscription stations. They're starting to light them on fire and to actually attack the recruiters. So Zelensky knows that if he lowers the age even further, these things are going to get even more violent. It's getting pretty bad in Ukraine as far as the partisan activity. It's really, really upticking. Sorry, the puppy has a squeaky toy.
I feel like there's not enough anger at and you guys know we have enough anger at them, but for the NATO left, you guys know the entirety of the European left supports this. You guys saw my hotspot video, and I've been bringing this up all the time on RBN, how European leaders like Mark Rutte, and this is being met by Labor and many other people, they are openly implementing austerity in order to fund the Ukraine proxy war. Donald Trump, who MAGA wants to present as anti-NATO, he is probably the greatest leader that NATO have ever seen, because of Trump, you have European leaders that are now pledging for 5% military. Remember when liberals were like, oh my God, why is Trump going after NATO? He was never going after NATO. I explained this on RBN how many times? I told you guys Donald Trump's criticism of NATO is that they wasn't spending enough on their military. So Donald Trump, the acclaimed anti-war candidate, why does he want a strong, beefed up NATO? What will he be preparing for? Who is he preparing to fight with a very strong NATO? It's almost like he's preparing for a future conflict with Russia, and everything's all political theater. You know what I mean? It's the same question. Why is the United States spending $1 trillion on our military budget if he say he want to end the wars? You guys see how that doesn't make sense? You think they had to spend the money? Sir, any thoughts?
Exactly that. I think we might have talked about it. If not, I talked about it on my stream, or we've talked about it in Spaces. Everything's a blur, but we've talked about the preparation of the two demilitarized states, Japan and Germany, are remilitarizing. I think I actually talked about this with Garland. Are remilitarizing, and now we're upticking in the spending of our own military. This is a war footing. This is putting us very much closer to a war footing, especially with the rearmament of Germany under our authorization. They want to fully arm and remilitarize and be ready for war fighting, and by 2029. This is something that we stopped them from doing for the last almost 100 years. So this is pretty indicative. And you bring up such a good point, which is something I haven't even mentioned, was that he came in saying he never wanted to destroy NATO. He just wanted them to buy more weapons. Yeah. And now they are. It wasn't about leaving NATO because NATO's corrupt. It was leaving NATO because it was this whole, we put in more than we get out, which is the
he thought NATO was a bunch of pussies. He's like, what, 2%? What kind of pussy shit is this? Spend more in military. It was never the criticism that Democrats claimed it was. You know what I mean?
No.
And Trump, the closest anti-NATO thing that Trump said was, he was like, man, if we're going to fund NATO this much, we might as well get out of it and do our own fucking imperialist thing. So that's the comment that a lot of people interpret as being anti-NATO. But that was Trump putting pressure on the alliance. And that pressure worked. Like, that's what he did. And this is what you mentioned. I'm glad you did. I'm searching for a receipt because I've been talking about how Germany, like, we are now, here it is. We're at a point now where we have a remilitarized Germany. I'll read this headline. I'll continue that point. Unprecedented rise in global military expenditure as European and Middle East spending surges. So we in this modern era where humanity is supposed to be benefiting from all this new technology. We're supposed to be benefiting from an age of enlightenment, right, Sarah? We're supposed to have all these iPhones, all these new gadgets. Humanity is supposed to be past the barbaric age of waging never-ending war. Nope. Europe is just as bloodthirsty as it was before, which is why we're seeing a rise in military spending. And think about the state of Germany right now, where you have Germany that is actively funding and supporting a Holocaust. They are funding and arming Nazis to fight Russia, and they are completely remilitarized. What does that sound like to you guys? Nazi Germany is going back to the roots, right? Is there anything you want to add?
It sounds exactly like World War II. It's just that we've replaced. See, it's interesting because after World War II, the United States took Britain's spot as the sort of Anglo international hegemon, right? It was Britain before that. We're between World War I and World War II. The British Empire was completely destroyed. And then the other lesser empires were obviously balkanized and then separated as such. America took up the mantle of Britain after World War II. World War II was stoked and pushed, same as World War I. Well, I don't want to get into that. That's a whole different can of worms. But World War II was stoked and prodded along by the British because they knew that the Germans would fight the Russians. And a German-Russian alliance is the thing that scares the Anglos the most. And that fear was passed down onto the United States. Why do you think Nord Stream was blown up? Because of a German-Russian energy alliance that was going to see the very far industrialization of Germany further than it already was. It was a freaking powerhouse, and also help Russia because there would be a cultural and technological exchange and a monetary exchange. Now we've broken off that. We're now remilitarizing Germany, especially. The rest of Europe is upping there. This sounds exactly like a preparation for a world war in Europe. To me,
we told you guys the fascists didn't lose World War II.
No, they just resituated.
Yeah, fascism absolutely did not lose World War II, and we're seeing it clear as day. It was almost just a recovery.
They keep thinking that fascism is like this standalone thing that you're like you're living your life, and all of a sudden fascism just pops up. And it takes over, and that's just not how it is. These neoliberals and these reactionaries in the Conservative Party, a lot of Con Inc., they have very fascistic tendencies. And more often than not, fascism doesn't pop up out of nowhere. Fascism is a natural progression from something else. And the material conditions that are happening right now very much match those of Weimar Germany. So what happens next is the fascists, or the soon-to-be fascists, have to crush the communists. And that would probably bring us back to the LA riots topic, but we'll get to that later.
Yep. And we all know here that fascism is just a state implementation of the crackdown of the working class and the promotion of never-ending imperialism that will inevitably come back home. That's, if you had to ask me one sentence to describe fascism, that's how I would describe it. I know there's a lot of different varying thoughts on it, but that's exactly what we're seeing now. And that's such a great take. I'm gonna show you guys a few more receipts regarding the Ukraine topic, because we're gonna get back to this topic later, because I'm sure this could come back up, as you mentioned, when we bring up the ICE segment. So let me wrap this segment up. I just have a few more receipts. Feel free to chime in. I'm gonna show you guys this, because this is in response to the video I did with Zelensky complaining about being a dirty side piece hoe the entire time. So the whole thing is the United States is now refocusing on the Middle East. So the question is, why, if Donald Trump, and this is the narrative they want us to believe, they want us to believe that Donald Trump is resisting this war against Iran, against Netanyahu, who he has a falling out against. Why are they increasing their spending to Israel so much? Why are they so laser focused on getting ready for a conflict with Iran? Like, if you watch Fox News, I watched quite a few of these segments over the last few days. It's a full-fledged infomercial to convince Fox News watching boomers to support a future war with Iran. I think this is coming, man. I'm not buying this bullshit, man. I might be wrong, but I haven't been wrong lately. But I am not buying this whole thing about Trump resisting the Iran war. But a lot of people are furious because, as I explained, the United States is now they are literally directly redirecting the weapons that are sent into Ukraine and Israel. And now you have a lot of the American senators that are melting down. America's reputation is on the line, said a Republican senator who is upset at Hexaf's cutting aid to Ukraine. Sir, ma'am, neocons, your reputation is already in the mud. You already taken this L. This is why Putin has been embarrassing Donald Trump. Putin is not letting Donald Trump off easy. He understands that Donald Trump played a very big role in starting the Ukraine crisis as well. So he's embarrassing him on the international stage and making him work for it. And so America has essentially already been embarrassed. I'm going to get your last thoughts on this segment. I want to play this video. I think this was a great clip that our friend Che shared, where, like, let's say hypothetically that the EU and NATO was able to pressure Ukraine into drafting 18-year-olds. Let's say, hypothetically, that Pete Hegseth doesn't cancel the aid, he doesn't redirect the missiles from Ukraine to Israel. How does that change the war, Sarah? How does any of this change the war? This was a foregone conclusion, and you can make the argument that Ukraine was sacrificed. I think this is a legitimate argument for the military-industrial complex. Let me play the clip. I won't interrupt it. And then, Sarah, you can chime in after that. We can wrap the segment with that, with your last thoughts.
In fact, Medinsky told me yesterday the folks he negotiated with in 22 are very different from the folks he's negotiating with now.
Yeah. Well, it is because Ukraine is simply a pawn on this chessboard. They are simply a piece to be moved by the West. When you go back and look at the history.
But the hell with the West. You're the country's president. Wouldn't you think you'd care enough about your people to tell the West, go to hell? I'm going to make decisions for my people, my country?
They've been bought and paid for. That's the problem.
Really?
Yeah. I can't get into all the details, but I know that there are 23 members of Congress, Republicans and Democrats, who've been paid millions. One prominent senator, $17.3 million.
That's
to him.
Lindsey Graham.
Another prominent senator, $23 million. One's Republican, one's Democrat.
Yeah.
So this is, like I said, the profit motive in this, and Ukraine is almost a hostage. It is. This is a terrorist hostage situation, and the entire Ukrainian nation is being held hostage by NATO.
and this was enabled by Zelensky. And this is the I just want to let people know who that is. Che Boyle said, "I am very fond of former CIA analyst Larry Johnson. We talked a lot and had whiskey together. He explained how Kyiv and Washington elites operate in a cycle of profit. So the whole thing, the destruction in Ukraine was planned for profit because guess who about to sweep in? BlackRock. Guess who just signed a minerals deal with Ukraine?" Sorry, sir. I was gonna let you in. Sorry.
No, you're cooking. I wrote a whole article about the privatization of Ukraine. You're exactly right. That senator, I'm willing to bet, is Lindsey Graham. I don't want to get you banned, but Lindsey Graham goes over to Ukraine and he parties. He parties. Lady G parties.
Yeah.
So he comes out. Last trip to Ukraine, he came out with $800,000 bill. He said was for a hotel stay. So that that they're paying off Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham has been, and it's probably somebody of the Adam Kinzinger variety or Eric Swalwell or one of those idiots on the Democrat side. I'm not shocked. We know that this war is very much a private interest, has morphed into a private interest war. And the Gaza genocide has taken over the public interest. This has been a boon, massive windfall to private industry in the United States and the West. And I'm working on another article now. I'm not really happy with it, but I'll keep working it and see if I can get it out. But it's about how they're building this sort of corporate shadow empire in the former USSR.
And the second round of U.S. brokered.
And this includes Ukraine, Romania, Hungary. And by shadow empire, I mean either closely aligned states, which you would have in Hungary, or in states that you've actually created a vassalage. So Ukraine. And they have it all the way up and down from the Baltics all the way down to Ukraine. They have proxies in every single country. And they're building a fifth column. They're building a shadow empire in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham, as you mentioned before, because I was dying on the inside there. And I say this as someone who we have a gay RBN member. I have gay friends.
I love the gays. I have no problem with the gays. I
have never seen someone as gay as Lindsey Graham.
He's so gay.
He is the gayest dude I've ever seen in my life, and I know quite a few gay people.
He is gay. He's such a pearl clutcher. We all know what you're doing over there, Lady G. Like it's fine, but just own it. But that's what this has become. This was never a very public interest war. It's not a feel-good war. It turned into a little bit of a humanitarian cause with the Ukraine. Democrats could turn it into a bit of a humanitarian cause for a while, but it's not. It's a private interest war. It's a bankers' war for us. For the Russians and for some of the Russians and most of the Ukrainians, it is a very existential war. But for us, it's a very private capital sort of war, exactly like World War I and World War II, which were existential and life-changing for Europe, but were windfalls and boons and huge windfalls for us in our private industry. Think Ford, IBM. Well, now we have Palantir and BlackRock. It's the same thing.
Very well said. We're gonna move on to our next segment. This is a DDG super chat, I believe. Put this towards an espresso.
Yeah, my espresso machine finally quit. 5 years though we were together. I think that's a good long. It was cheap, only like $100.
Really good.
The pump broke, and I wasn't even mad. I was like, "You did really good. Thank you."
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Thank you for the super chat. Let's get to the funny story. The one you guys know I've been greatly enjoying the drama between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And when Elon Musk said that Donald Trump was on the Epstein list, I was like, what? Dude, that's fucking a crazy. So that bridge is done. That's a crazy thing to say. Donald Trump was upset because he was like, Elon Musk disrespected the office of president. I never want to talk to him again. And this just shows how pathetic Elon Musk is, because Elon Musk started this war where there was no going back. Like, if you're gonna pull the Epstein shit, right? And so Elon Musk, like, cause he used to just going all out against his enemies. So he's like, fuck Donald Trump. I'm on MAGA right now. Have a nice day, Donald Trump. You're part of Epstein. Like, this motherfucker was talking all sorts of shit. This motherfucker was talking all sorts of shit about Donald Trump, talking all sorts of shit about his administration. And then Donald Trump, and like, he was like, hey, bro, I'm about to end all those government subsidies. And Elon Musk, hey, bro, I didn't mean it, bro. I didn't mean it.
It's so weird. They were making fun of all the single mothers and whatnots for losing their welfare checks. But look at this welfare queen. Don't cut off my contracts and subsidies. I promise I'll behave. And you're so right. Your comment is spot bang on. Either he lied about Trump being in the Epstein files, or he's willing to work with an administration filled with pedophiles and sex criminals. Those are the only options you have here. That's it.
How can anyone take Elon seriously after this? And then there's like all these cringe tweets. I'm gonna show you guys. Wonder if I can find it real quick. But there's like MAGA is like celebrating this because they're gonna pretend that Epstein allegation never happened again. For one, how can you even trust someone who would lie like that in the first place?
Yeah, so, pedophile has become the new Nazi. Like, stop calling everybody pedophiles unless they're actually a pedophile. Like, this is not okay. To even allege that is not okay. It's
that's why I covered it. And I was like, yo, this is huge because why would you say that unless you don't have proof?
But here's the other facet of it. He says he's, obviously what you said in the second part of that, he's probably willing to go back and work with the administration after saying the thing about him being on the Epstein files. This just normalizes being on the Epstein files.
Exactly. And there's all the MAGA
people. It be that bad if Elon's willing to go back and work with Trump, even after he knows about the Epstein files. See, guys, they're not even that bad. They've been trying to normalize this for a while. We've got Candace Owens freaking interviewing Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't get me started.
Contingents of vitalists and bronze age retards telling us that Epstein wasn't really a pedophile and what he did kind of wasn't wrong. So this whole thing is going in a very weird direction, and I'm not really digging it, but that's another facet to this other than the sort of whatever he's saying is that he just throws out the accusation of pedophile like it's no big deal. And that's an issue in and of itself.
Dude, this is the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. Did the host remember? They followed me for some reason. I have no idea why. Because I'm out to roast them again.
Look at what Peter Schick just said. He admitted to having sleeping with minors this week.
What?
He said I was in college and I had sex with underage girls. And then that's what him saying it happens to the best of us. Yeah. To you last week.
Hey, who hasn't accused a bro of being a pedophile, part of a sex trafficking ring? You guys see this comment? You guys see the fucking MAGA relief?
Take the real one to apologize. Thank you for apologizing. We can have our content back.
You never had an argument with your bro before and accused him of being part of the Epstein client list? That never happened to you, Sarah? And that happened to you guys? No, that's just two homies, two hotheads. One of them accusing the other of being a sex trafficker. Just not a big deal. Just takes a real one to apologize. That's why Trump, his statement was like, "Hey y'all, I'm not being friends with Elon no more, man. You can't just call me a fucking pedophile." Now MAGA people, because they're relieved, and we will see how President Trump reacts to this. Now we really know if this is theater or not. Because you can make the argument. I've already seen people make the argument that this whole thing was bullshit. And I've seen that argument.
I thought it was until Elon brought out the nukes, the weapons of mass destruction. I thought it was set up.
I don't think it's a bad theory, guys. I'm not shit on anyone who believes it. But the reason why I don't buy it is because the Epstein thing. I feel like that's you know what I mean?
The thing that I just said, unless they're trying to normalize and make downplay the Epstein list.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Not that big a deal because Cash and Pam Bondi are not going to produce this Epstein list. That's never happening.
That's a good point.
So if it's not a big deal to be on it, then who cares anymore?
That's a great point, Sarah. Because they like, man, whatever. If he's on Epstein list, whatever, man.
Even Trump's on it. Who cares? And he's the president, right?
Don't you know Epstein was just an awkward guy who was kind of lonely?
Yeah.
You seen that post where some right wing was like, Jeff Epstein, he was just a quirky dude.
Yeah, just a weird, just an odd fella.
So MAGA's already rehabilitating.
He's just kind of autistic, little spurgy.
Like just a little young.
Like how they talk about Elon.
I'm glad this is a Democratic. I thought it was a Republican kind of first. So did you lie when you said Trump was in the Epstein files, or do you just regret saying out loud and getting threatened? So the Zionist master, this is the take that Nico had. I don't see in the replies because this tweet is fucking. They got 100 million replies, But Nico said that the Zionist masters called in and like, hey, bro, you don't fucking ever talk about Epstein, period. So you don't go that far. And I can see that too. I'm not 100% sure about what's going on here. I have theories. You guys know I believe in theories. I believe in making theories. You know what I mean? I think, dude, yeah, maybe Elon, because Elon is a fucking druggie. He probably some fucking drug addict that went too damn far, and it was like, nigga, rein it in. The fuck you doing? Talking about Epstein. So I can see that too. To be clear, I'm not 100% sure where my theory lands on what the hell is going on between Trump and Epstein or whatever. I just think it's a funny fucking story, to be honest.
Rich people are weird, especially these rich people who are rich for like banking or, rich off of other money or like stockbrokers. These people are effing weird and they all hang out together. So I'm not shocked that Trump is on the Epstein files. But why throw it out as an accusation if there's nothing behind it? If he's only on a flight log because he took a flight, then okay. But now we're back to discussing the weight and the legitimacy and how badly we need to see the Epstein files, which is now we're back and sucked into the discussion of do they really matter? Like all of this stuff is such a psyop. It takes your eyes off the prize. It's so ridiculous. What were we talking about before he accused him of the Epstein files? Epstein investing in Palantir and how we were like, whoa, that's weird. Well, now Epstein's not a big deal. Because Trump's on the list. So the Palantir link doesn't really matter.
It's really wild to see how MAGA just trying to normalize this. If Donald Trump, because this was a bombshell, like I seen RT, Russian media had a fucking field day with this Elon Trump story. If you didn't see how Russian media was covering this story, go back. Chinese social media. I didn't see it, but I can only imagine that they was having a field day. So you would think that after that bombshell allegation, that Donald Trump would simply release the Epstein files to clear his name, right?
No.
No,
not even a little bit. That's exactly what I said. I was like, there are a multitude of ways that this can go. He apologizes and he accepts the apology. That's already sus. Because that is not Trump's character to take an accusation like that and just let it go and become friends with somebody again. Trump cannot let anybody perceive any weakness. Or I thought he was going to do the angle of, I'm actually really concerned for him. He's got a bad drug issue, because he did allude to that and mention that he's acting crazy. I'm kind of the concerned father. Or, which would be in Trump's character, would be to sue him for defamation. Which, if we do that, then we go into discovery. So the Trump's lack of reaction to this is very sus.
Sorry, I was looking at some of these retweets.
They're insane.
Show some emotional maturity to admit wrongdoing. The Epstein post was
portentous.
Sorry, clarification is still needed. Absolutely.
Exactly that. You don't get off like that. And not even that. See, there was a really great article, I've mentioned it a bajillion times, in the New York Times the other day, and it talks about how these politicians and their circles are trapped inside. They've painted themselves into corners. They're now stuck functioning in traps that they've made. They use stuff like the Epstein files to, keep people in a frenzy, keep people engaged, kind of, abuse the Democrats with it. Now they're locked into that.
Yep.
So that's where you're at. And this is a really good lesson from the Elon Musk pulling out the Epstein allegation, because you see how many people you see the difference between the people asking, okay, but is he still on the Epstein list, or where are the files? And then you see the other people saying, this sorry's good enough, and missing the point totally. So this is actually it's kind of fascinating to watch.
So apparently, I just found this now. I was looking for an update. I was trying to see if this is real first, but I see this on independent.co. I see a few people report on it. I'm still trying to verify it. Trump opens door to forgiving Musk. So here it is. Here it is. Didn't you just say that if Trump just forgives him, how we know it's theater? That's how we know it's bullshit. Look, Trump opens door to forgiving Musk after Epstein accusations. I have no hard feelings. So accordingly, I looked over this. They say this happened on this podcast. Trump had a appearance on a Monday podcast. Oh, sorry. I get what's going on here. This is an older article that was published. They quoting this. I get it now. Sorry, that was a Trump quote for 2 days ago. I don't know why they published this article today. This is clickbait shit, actually. I did not see what's going on. There's not an update. So that's what I found. There's not an update to the story. That article is actually very clickbaity as I look through it.
Even his lack of response is very interesting to me. He hasn't. The response I saw, that's why I was looking for an update, because the response I saw was Trump saying he's not going to forgive Musk. That article I pulled up, and I just got to clarify, because I'm sorry for even bringing it up, because it's a clickbait. Like, this website is trash. They took a quote from 2 days ago from Trump and try and present it like he just said it, but that's not what happened. Of course they
I shouldn't have brought that up. But anyway, let's move on. It's kind of similar because there are a lot of people who believe that this is all theater to distract people, because this is around the time people are looking to Palantir.
I also think that international and foreign policy and international relations is going very bad, worse than they want to admit. I think that something happened with the Iran talks, because they've ordered, Kuwait has suggested people start evacuating. The civilians this is all happening probably while you were getting ready for the show. Civilians at the Bahrain base, largest one, which is where CENTCOM and Fifth Fleet are housed, they're telling the dependents, so the civilians, the wives and the children and whatnot, they're telling them to leave. They're being they're going under an evacuation order and trying to get them out on commercial flights. We have avoid the I think it's Straits of Hormuz warning right now. Let me read you the warnings that came out today. Sure. I posted a bunch. So first one was U.S. Naval Forces Command in Bahrain, home to Fifth Fleet and CENTCOM, has been placed on high alert. Families of American service members have been advised to prepare for possible evacuation amid rising regional tensions. The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad is preparing for an ordered evacuation due to heightened security risks, per U.S. and Iraqi sources. The plan is to evacuate via commercial, but U.S. military flights are on standby if needed. Then we had the UK MTO, which is the UK Maritime Trade Operations, issued an advisory for the Persian Gulf, the Gulf of Oman, and the Strait of Hormuz. And the Associated Press claims that the U.S. State Department is authorizing the departure of non-essential personnel and family members from Bahrain and Kuwait.
Yeah. Things are getting real. That's why they need all these distractions. And I think we will transition to our next segment. We're going to cover the LA riots.
No, I've been screaming about this woman for days.
Yeah. So Laura Loomer is a Zionist.
Well,
doesn't that say everything?
It's an understatement.
So Laura Loomer, as a Zionist, Zionist is very important for them in order to get people to support Zionism, to get people to hate Muslims. Don't you guys remember how people like Laura Loomer and these Christian Zionist psychopaths, they was trying to convince us that Muslims were trying to implement Sharia law in the West. You guys remember this? Like, this is like Bill O'Reilly. He ran this shit every day. I remember that was back when I had Republican derangement syndrome. Like, Bill O'Reilly was my big bad guy. You know what I mean? You know, the Gen Z people, they like obsess over like Tim Pool and these Republican people. Like,
yeah, we were definitely Bill O'Reilly. Yep, for sure.
He was the guy who scared me to shit libs nonsense. Like, the reason why I voted for Barack Obama, I was like, fuck Bill O'Reilly. Like, he was my guy. And there was segments every fucking night. Gen Z don't understand how crazy Bill was. This motherfucker did segments every night talking about how there's a Sharia law Muslim takeover.
Every night.
Why do you do that? Because it's very important, as I said, for Zionists to project. So as Jewish supremacists hijacked Western institutions, they had to scare white people into thinking that the Muslims are after them in order to legitimize their power grab.
Palantir.
And they also learned it worked with immigrants, right? That's my intro monologue. Sarah, I think you want to chime in. Anything you want to add? Because that's why I wanted to say to get started.
I have a love-hate relationship with Laura Loomer.
Yeah, I love to hate her.
She tipped me off to get to some of the greatest stories that I've ever reported on, only because not that she like gave me the story, but just her like her psychosis and worrying about certain things made me dig further into it. Like, she noticed that she was like, weird, a Ukrainian plane's landing in Arizona. One of my followers just told me that. And like, I went and researched and I was like, holy crap, they're giving them an F-16. And like, I found out all this. I was like, thanks, Laura Loomer. But then she goes and meets with JD Vance. And immediately following that, she's like a Palantir shareholder. Wow. Like, I'm saying that hyperbolically, but like after she comes out, she's like, Palantir is great. And that's the tech that's going to get these guys out of our country. And then she also talks to Nancy Mace and Tim whatever the hell, why can't I think of his name? Anyway, she talks to Ted Cruz and Nancy Mace, who, my God, like, don't even get me on those two. But she pushes them and says, I want a bill that will proclaim the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization. So that's in the works.
Yep. Why does Laura Loomer and Nancy Mace have the same face? Like, why is that the face of like middle-aged?
That's the face of MAGA.
Yes.
They all
Every
have
single
that.
MAGA female influencer has the same damn face.
Wife, Kimberly Guilfoyle, Laura Trump, the freaking the girls inside. Natalie Winters even looks like that. It's all like this. I can't do that. Like, it's and it's like these fillers and these sort of slanted eyes. It's very.
For the people who claim they love like white people and white aesthetics, they try their best to like make themselves look
as Asian. Possible. Yeah. Yes. Pam Bondi doesn't look like that. Have you ever seen, or not Pam Bondi, what's her face? Levitt. Caroline Levitt doesn't look like that. Did you see her, what she used to look like? Look like a very normal Midwestern white blonde hair girl. Now she looks like these women.
So either the MAGA women looks like that, or they're an Indian that some MAGA chud married. It's either one of the two.
That's the thing, and that happened last night. Is that they all got into a frenzy over this because Michael Tracy. Why it has to be Michael Tracy is the only one that pointed out that JD Vance louds about this pseudo-white genocide going on, or replacement theory, while he's married to a fucking Indian.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the viral tweet because
they eat it up. The MAGA just eats it up.
The thing is, it's a fucking big thing, apparently, where these like MAGA people get Indian wives, because it wasn't even JD Vance I was thinking of.
Let me tell you a story. Now, this is going to be really racist, but let me just, I don't care. I'll do it. I don't care. This is very common in the military. Okay. This is something that military guys do because they have the luxury of doing it.
Oh, yeah.
White dudes who look like sacks of mashed potatoes.
Yes.
Their only hope of getting a girl above a 5 is to get one from somewhere in Asia. And if you're willing to go to the subcontinent or to date an Indian, even better. That's why JD Vance, of the lowly economic class that he's from a disgusting white trash family with all types of drug issues, wound up dating Usha Vance, who is in like some of the highest echelons of the caste system of India and friends with the ruling party. How does that happen?
Look at Sarah, always had to receive. I didn't even know that much about JD Vance's wife, but that says everything. That says everything.
Thiel and her are responsible for JD Vance.
Jesus Christ.
Thiel and her, and it's a match made in heaven because Thiel is the Zionist and she's as an Indian. She's Hindutva. She's Hindutva. She is inside of those circles. The children have Indian names. The children are Hindu. Their first visit was to India. Now let me tell you, I'm a yoga instructor. I love India. I love Indian culture. I've taken Indian philosophy classes. I love Hindi. I love all of that stuff. But let's call a spade a spade. Yeah. She built him up and made him into what he is. This is his third name change, folks. So let's just leave it at that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, these people
are now realizing that they're cooked. And thank God I found the tweet, because the funny thing is I wasn't even talking about JD Vance. It's a fucking trend, like Sarah said. Here's another guy. I don't know. I had to look this up. Where this congressperson.
Oh yeah.
Brandon Gill. Yeah. Yeah. See how he idolized the.
Go back and look, and this is why I pointed it out yesterday, right? Charlie Kirk, Matt Walsh. You know the Con Inc., the grifters. They're like the mainstream Con Inc. They're all saying, we don't want mass third world immigration.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Because their Indian wives and their Japanese wives aren't third world. They're developing or first world or whatnot. It's Latin America and the Middle East. They don't want those two. They still want to take the brain drain from South and East Asia. They still want the lily white immigrants that come in from Europe. They don't want third world immigrants. It's a class issue. Again, as Mark said, it's always a class issue, and that's what it is. It's not a race issue for these people. It's a class issue. Look, there it is, third world.
I'm so glad he brought this up because I fucking love that. I love that so much.
Right, and there goes Kurt. Kurt says third world labor is cheap. Exactly that. So why are the exactly that? So exactly. So they make sure they use the qualifier third world so they could say to their wives, "Oh, but not you, honey. Obviously, you're not from the third world."
They be hustling. I can't even be that mad at them because they're not hustling me.
See how they shifted a little bit? I'm not saying mass deportations are a good thing. Mass deportations is something that MAGA ran on. That was a policy platform. But do you see how these guys come in to just soften it a little bit and move MAGA a little bit more towards the center?
I know that too. Yeah, look, you guys see what even that even like what does that even mean in the modern age? But third world immigration. And they're hustling their support. And once again, I'm not even mad at them because they're not hustling me. Like you have like these white chuds that say stuff like, "We need to protect the lineage. We need to protect the sanctity of the white race," while they're all supporting these people who married to Indians.
Yep.
Like they hustling these people, man.
JD Vance's son is named Vivek. Okay, that's not a joke. It sounds like I made it up.
Dude, this shit is so fucking hilarious. And then this guy got clapped.
I understand that this isn't us saying like, "Oh, well, you're married to an Indian, gross." No, it's like you're a fetishist. You're like you're into race play. You're like over here telling everybody else how to live, where they can and can't go, but you're over here it's oh, but not me. I don't count. Like, what is this? Get out of here. You still need to explain yourself.
Yeah, I think it's clear. We're not taking a moral stand here. We're laughing at these hypocrites.
I don't mind immigration. I actually think, and here's my hot take, I did it last night, legal immigration hurts us more than illegal immigration. No offense, I don't want to work with the jobs that illegal immigrants work. I don't want to do that. And I think I also, a majority of Americans would agree, they don't want to either. That's why they're low wage, minimum, like, and they have to be done by illegals. It's the legal immigrants that come in and actually make competition for Americans. It's not illegal immigrants.
Yeah, that's a devastating point against MAGA. Like that's a devastating counter argument against MAGA and these people to say we are for pro legal immigration. Speaking of immigration,
I'm not worried about competing against Pablo from Oaxaca for a job when his skills involve everything that's manual or like hard labor. I'm worried about fighting with Supreet from India, who has the same like academic level as me and is vying for the same types of jobs. Like I'm like that's the real competition, not the illegals. The illegals are a lot of the backbone of our society, the backbone of our economy. As sad as that is.
But you guys see, I'm gonna get back on topic. You guys know me and Sarah, we just have fun written sometimes. But this is the concept they post.
What is this crap?
Oh my god, dude, motherfucker, your neighborhood looks like this right now. They're like, don't you miss the good days of the 60s? That's what your community looks right now. I know. I used to work in cause I sold Toyotas. You guys know that. I work in this affluent white suburb. You go there, this is exactly what it looks like. The fuck you complaining about? You guys made a mistake of imposing imperialism around the world and implementing sanctions. And you motherfuckers want to travel all around the world. You want white people in Africa. You want white people in India. You want white people. There's a fucking legion of white people in Thailand. So you want white people all over the world. And then you get mad when they follow you back. You invade other countries. You meddle in other countries. You get mad when they come back.
By our own admission, we spent millions and billions in USAID. You put out all that soft power. You didn't want anybody to believe it.
I told you guys, I'm not sympathetic to shit, man, because this is the consequences of imperialism. You guys have no problem with imperialism. You love cheering on imperialism, and then you see the consequences of imperialism.
Everybody in the world, you're not as good as us. We're going to topple your government because it's not as good as ours. You don't know how to do this. We know how to do it better. And people said, well, F it. If you can't get it right here, I'm going to go where they say everything's perfect.
And then they want to complain, oh my God, why can't we have a country? Can't we have a country, Sarah? Why can't we have a country? Because you guys was fucking with everyone else. You know why China gets to have a country? You hear white people say all the time, why did China get to have a country? Because they haven't been sanctioning and bombing other fucking countries.
Literally.
Cry me a fucking river. Like, you know what I mean?
Why do they get a country? I don't know, because they haven't gone to war in over 100 years. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
exactly. And I told you guys that
don't project this incredible amount of soft power. Immigration obviously comes mostly from the hard power and the refugee crisis, but it's the soft power is the thing that makes it tick. If you don't make your country appealing, people aren't going to try to die trying to get into it. Yeah. So you literally like cut off your nose to spite your face as you went around for the ages saying how great you are and how everybody wants to kill us for our freedom. And people said, well, I want some of that freedom because you're over here and we're getting killed. So they leave and they come here. And then you're like, why are they here? You told them to come. You told them it was the greatest place on earth.
It's hilarious white people leave Europe and complain when America is not completely white. You know what I mean? I made my position on this very clear. Some people don't like it, but I believe in the old school libertarian belief. It's not a leftist belief. You guys hear what Bernie Sanders said? It's a libertarian belief of freedom of movement. So I'm making my argument in almost a selfish way because I don't want to be stuck in the States. No, I am a supporter of the freedom of movement of people. Now I understand why you would want to restrict immigration for a certain country because geopolitical purposes, right? Like if you're enemies, I will understand the principle behind limiting immigration in certain situations. But if we are allies, for example, the United States and Mexico, close allies. The United States is close allies with these countries. Why should there be strict, super hardcore immigration between countries that are allies and trade with each other? To me, that inherently doesn't make sense. Because we all know that immigration is the byproduct of just simply the capitalist system and the control of workers. Why does Elon Musk live in the United States? Because he has money.
Right.
So if the borders are essentially a money obstacle. So if you're rich, you can live wherever you want. So are borders real? And these are things I've been asking right wingers for years. I get these people stumped all the time. If you can live whatever you want to, this Elon Musk, they said, don't you know Elon Musk is legal? Yes, he's legal because he has money. So if you're able to travel wherever country you want based on who has money, you effectively already have open borders. It's a way to control the workers. So how is it in our interest for us to limit our movement as workers when the capitalist class have freedom of movement? This is the argument I've been making for years. And don't you see, even if you disagree with me, because I understand that not everyone agrees with my position, you can at least understand why I intellectually make the position I have. That if capitalists, if they can move from South Africa to America, if they can fly from Japan to the United States, if they can ship their factories overseas, I believe the workers should be able to move as well. It's inherently a pro-worker argument.
Interesting. But that's interesting.
To be clear, there are Marxists who disagree with me, and that's okay. Because remember, what I'm advocating for is more libertarian. It's more of a libertarian freedom of movement argument, and I'm okay because there are Marxists who disagree with me. But I think I really thought through my position. I'm very confident in how well I thought through that's just my personal. I don't want any countries to tell me where the fuck I can live. If I want to move, if I want to live in Mexico, I want to be able to live in Mexico. You guys see how it's in my interest. It's in our interest to advocate for freedom of movement. That is my position. You know what I mean? But Sarah,
I do like this about the administration, though, is that they say the quiet part out loud, right? You're saying like, oh yeah, rich people have freedom of movement because they do, and that's like an unspoken rule that's always been said. This administration came out and said, guess what? You could buy a citizenship. Just give us $5 million.
Yeah, they literally just give away the game.
Cut out all the crap. Cut out the middlemen. Cut out the show. Just buy a citizenship and be done with it.
Plus, the reality is, even if you disagree with me, and there are Marxists who do disagree with me, guys, I'm not the lead authority on this. You guys understand that we already live in a system of global capital dominance, where the capitalist system is completely international. So the working class needs to adjust to that as well, and they could keep the workers in control by having these borders where we can't cross. Anyway, I don't want to keep lecturing you because I know we got a long time. Let's get back to the segment. I just like to illustrate my thought process on this because I have given a lot of thought on this over the years. I understand the pushback, understand why people are like, oh my God, we should have a country. The ruling class been moved beyond the concept of a country, guys. You know what I mean?
The point of America was to not be that kind of country. Like, I don't know what you thought you were going to get. Like, that's literally our ethos. Not that I'm like a lit shit lib, that I'm like, we're a melting pot, but that's literally what the state was born. That's what it was born on. Like, and imperialism and genocide. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that's the idea that's in the back of everybody's mind.
Yeah, what's that?
This whole white Christian idea is fake. This European solidarity idea, it's a LARP. It's kanging. Like, none of this is real. None of this ever existed.
Base Sarah. I'm gonna read a few quick receipts because I don't want to keep you too long this time. Me and Sarah, we can talk. We can do this all day if we wanted to. I had just one more segment I want to do, and this is obviously about the LA riots and Palantir. And I want to get your thoughts on the LA riots because you guys see many. We had a few segments already.
I don't know if you're gonna like my thoughts, but I'll give them anyway.
I'm interested in hearing it because here's Laura Loomer, and the Republican Party. They learned that they can use immigration as a way to implement authoritarian, crazy big techno-fascist ideology. So here's Laura Loomer, and this is where I'm starting. You guys see, I'm gonna weave you guys to a story here. Laura Loomer calling for Palantir. Time to deploy Palantir to Los Angeles to deal with the illegal. Jesus Christ. You know you love to see it. You're lying if you say you don't. And this is our friend Greg Stoker. We was on before. They're from Colonial Outcast, friend of the show. I'll just read this tweet. Actually, there's a Kurt here too. I'll read both the tweets. Kind of crazy how all the MAGA are now fan of big government. The MAGA people like Laura Loomer, they are calling for big tech overreach and spying on American citizens. But let's continue. Y'all will always fascist bootlickers with no principle beyond sentiment for your favorite billionaires. Here, Kurt Mester. I didn't see his response. I'm just interested. Do you not comprehend the level of evil fuck of Alice Carpenter Peter Thiel? Do you really not? Oh, I see how he said. Do you really not comprehend the level of evil of Alice Carpenter Peter Thiel? Yeah, that's a good reply by Kurt.
And nobody, like, this is where we're at, though. People have to understand that the moral compass of the United States is different or is non-existent. Yesterday, Alex Karp announced his salary, or it leaked or something. $6 billion, not million, $billion in straight up compensation, not stocks, not shares, not equities, nothing. That is cash, liquid cash. And they don't see anything wrong with that. That's how we've gotten. That's how far we've gotten. This generation is very much of, if I pulled the wool over your eyes, that's your fault for being stupid, not mine. That's the sort of culture that's being pushed, especially on places like Twitter. That's why these people don't have any empathy. They don't sympathize with anybody. It's very much of, fool you once, shame on you. Fool you again, shame on you again. Like, no shame on me. I'm smarter than you. I'm winning. Yeah. That's the idea. And they're actually making it into an us versus them, right? So the us in this case is us, the illegals, for Laura Loomer, the whites. She's not even white, she's Jewish, but the whites or white passing, and the them is the illegals. What they're really saying is, I don't commit the kind of crimes that Palantir is going to go after. I'm a Zionist and I'm privileged. Yeah. The people that commit the kind of crimes, the lowly kind of crimes, the kind of crimes that we dictate and we don't like, they're going to be the victims of Palantir. Everybody cheering for the moving in of Palantir are people that aren't going to be affected by it. Everybody, they're not going to be affected by it because they hold the same views as Palantir. Palantir took out a full page ad in the New York Times, so you know how much that costs to just put the text, Palantir stands with Israel. Why did they do that? Why did they make a point to do that right now? It was like last week. They're making a stratified system. That's what they're doing. They're making a separate economy via Palantir, Bitcoin, and El Salvador, and the crypto deals in the Middle East. They're making a separate criminal system via Palantir and these privatized prisons in Gitmo and El Salvador. They're making an entirely different world for us and for them. Look at what Elon wrote at the end of the day. I mean, it's a line from a very racist novel, but he wrote, at the end of the day, we have the spaceships and they don't. Yeah. That's what he put. At the end of the day, they're in control. We're not. They get to decide what a crime is, what is good, what is evil, what is lawful, what is unlawful. They get to decide now. They're transhumanists.
Why do you guys think they're not even trying to sound persuasive when they make the anti-Semitism argument, for example? The anti-Semitism. Yeah, exactly, Sarah. This is the
they don't
point.
Have to persuade you anymore. You either go along with it or you don't. And if you don't, then God help you.
Yep. They're not even trying to be
scary
persuasive.
part. Those things are indicative. Will you stop? That's the scary part. Those things are very indicative of we don't care. We have so much power over you. We don't even care what you think about it. We're going to tell you what we're doing. We're going to pretty much show you what we're doing. And if you revolt against it, we're going to use the mechanisms that we're putting in place in order to subdue you.
Yep. You guys see how Laura Loomer is making all these tweets in support of Palantir? I don't care. I will say it again. This is how she wants you to feel. This is how she wanted her supporters to feel. I don't care if Palantir surveil jihadists and illegals. She said jihadis. So anyone who engaged in resistance, I don't give a fuck. I want them all out of my country. Do you really think we're going to mass deport 65 million people without advanced technology? You guys see the argument that they are making. MAGA is completely cooked.
We can't do it without them. We're in a situation and we just can't do it. We can't do it without Palantir. Trump ran on mass deportations, guys. We've got an illegal immigrant problem. We don't. But the only people that can fix the fake immigrant problem is Palantir. They're the only people. They're our savior, guys. They're our only hope. Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope. And, oh my God, this is such a good clip. I played it on my show. Feel free to play it again. It's such a good clip.
I'm glad we're on the same page here because you guys see where I'm going with this story because you guys see exactly what's going on with Palantir, the Trump administration, and the establishment is 100% okay with everything that's going on in LA. They're 100% okay. Because I want to ask you guys this question real quick. You guys know that Joe Biden spent $6 billion more on ICE than Donald Trump. You guys know that Biden was engaging in ICE raids? ICE raids didn't start under Donald Trump, you deeply unserious children. This isn't new. So why are they doing it now, Sarah? Why wasn't they protesting under Biden, Sarah? Anyway, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So let me slow down and let me get back to what's really going on in this two-way establishment push in order to get Americans 100% okay with Palantir. Because the reason why people like Laura Loomer is pushing it is because Palantir is paying influencers. There's a reason why Russell Brand wasn't talking about this. There's a reason why I show you guys that pathetic clip of Alex Jones. We like, actually Palantir. They just AI companies just trying to get in the game, man. They're not that evil, man. They're trying to make some money, you know. There's a reason why Alex Jones is like a dipshit when he talks about Palantir. And this guy, I don't know this guy for real. What's his name?
Tim Dillon. He's a comedian. Yeah.
I know he's big, but I don't know these people like that.
I don't watch it.
He explains that he got an offer from Palantir.
If you have not one reservation about what's going on over there, I'm not saying you have to feel one way or another way, but if you don't have any if you have no reservations about what's happening with all these kids getting killed, I don't know, I can't trust you. If you don't have any reservations about Palantir taking everyone's information, I don't know. I don't know if I can trust you. I think they're buying people left and right. This is my guess. They try to buy me. My pussy costs a lot of money. I get invited to these dinners. I don't go.
Good for this guy. I don't know anything about this guy. I might get roasted for saying this, but good for this guy. You know what I mean? I don't know anything about Tim Dillon.
Yeah, he's based.
I really don't. So I really hope I didn't say anything cringe there.
No,
but
he's fine. You're fine.
Good for him for saying this. Now
let's get better. It gets better.
Oh, you want to play more of it? Yeah.
Let's go ahead.
Let's play more.
I've been invited to Teal's house multiple times for dinner. I don't go. It's no shade at them.
He said, I'm going to play it again. I'm going to play the part again because I cut it off. He explained how he was invited to Peter Thiel's place multiple times. So let me play it again in full.
I get invited to these dinners. I don't go. I've been invited to Thiel's house multiple times for dinner. I don't go. It's no shade at them or whatever, you know? The reason I don't go is I remember one dinner, they're like, we'd like to discuss the media.
Whoa.
I go, what?
Interesting.
No, thanks. We'd like to discuss dinner. We discuss the media and culture. I No thanks. Appreciate it. That's fine. Don't need a. Here's what I'm doing every week. I'm discussing the media. Hey, good news. I have a show. You can listen to it.
Good for this guy. I should start dressing like this guy during my shows, man. I take this shit too seriously.
I want those Burberry glasses so bad. Yeah, I'm just gonna start saying "fuck it" and wearing like sunglasses inside, overly accessorized. I think this is gonna be my new thing.
Hey, Chad, should I pull this off, man? I think I'm taking this.
I think you would look really good with the Burberry sunglasses, but you need them in a different color, I think. But you know who we did get to though? Peter Thiel got to Joe Rogan. That's who we got.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Like that's probably the least surprising thing I've ever heard. I'll finish the clip because I haven't heard the whole
Even
thing.
Joe Rogan is like, I think I'm on shaky ground. If you watch his interview with Cash, he's like, I can't believe I'm asking these questions. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, he's very like that guy. Something is very wrong with that guy.
Oh my God. Like Joe Rogan, I explained this. I did so many roasts with Rogan, but so I can get over. But that's literally like the deep state podcast now. They have FBI people like Cash Patel on to explain the project they're working on. Hey man, all the bad thing you heard about the FBI, that's wrong, man.
Steve Bannon is his strategy to flood the zone. This is well known. Most of the conning right wingers have talked about this concept. This is a concept. It's not a unique concept to Steve Bannon, but Steve Bannon named it flooding the zone, and it was something that he really, really was. It was a big strategy. He was very much into and always advised people to flood the zone. Immediately following the leak about, or the news about the government contract with Palantir, followed right by the Epstein thing. Cash was sent out to Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan's the easy podcast. He won't ask any like too much, right? And JD Vance was sent over to Theo Von to go down to the Country Boys cat, like go on down and be a noob, like all that crap, right? That like Midwestern flyover state kind of crap. They were curated for those two podcasts purposefully. Don't forget that Theo Von just met with the Kushners and had dinner with them. Right. And so he gets to do this sort of wishy-washy, like there's a genocide. And I'm kind of coming to the realization a year and a half later. Can we kind of talk about it and want to tiptoe around the issue? Now that like that's an actually kind of accepted storyline, right? That's accepted in normal vernacular and conversations. So these people just do the things that are just up to the edge and not so much.
And they try to make things complicated. Like when they talk about it, they try to make something like complicated. Like, oh my God, what's going on over there? What's going on? Like, no, what do you mean what's going on? Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
It's so sad. I mean, and you heard JD Vance, he tried to answer the question. He said that straight up, like, Gaza's a genocide. What are we doing? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, I mean, anytime you see a dead... Yeah, go ahead. Anytime you see a dead body, you know, you should feel something about it. And then he, like, segues over to the Russia-Ukraine war like it's nothing. It's bizarre. And I'm kind of talking to you guys, the viewers now, but if you guys really look at why those two podcasts were chosen, Joe Rogan was chosen for a reason because he doesn't ask hard questions. He doesn't challenge his guests. And he's kind of like the bro, you know, like the short bro. Cash is another short bro, you know. And then JD Vance goes on the Theo Von one because he's got to get back to his hunky dory. I'm not a tech bro. I'm a Midwestern son of heroin addicts, just like all of you. I'm a good old boy. And that's why he went on Theo Von. And also Theo Von kind of has that deer in the headlights sort of doe-eyed innocence about him that really works well with JD Vance, that wouldn't have worked well with Cash. These people are very curated and they're chosen for specific jobs at specific times. You guys need to watch. All of these people are in control of somebody else, and it's a very, very, very big web.
Yeah, they adjusted to the new age of information very fast.
There was a post I shared on my personal. There's a Basil, who's fantastic, guys. If you're not following him, Basil, he says exactly it's an inverse of the flow of influence. Now they're not convincing Vance of anything. Their job is to convince you that whatever Vance does or doesn't do, like in the instance of deportation, is actually based. Why do you think Laura Loomer has a 3-hour meeting with JD Vance and she comes out of it singing the praises of Palantir, which she never really talked about before?
Yeah.
Why is Cash Patel going on to Joe Rogan to manufacture consent? Why on this? It was a really big week for Theo Von, right? He did his whole song and dance and went viral about, now I believe it's a genocide. And then a week later, JD Vance is on the show trying to convince them it's not really a genocide. I don't believe it's a genocide, but it is terrible what they're doing. It's all a show. They're the same exact thing as the mainstream media, except they're worse at it. They're sloppier and they have less money. It's like amateur hour over here. And if people don't see what's going on, then you need to step back and go read Manufacturing Consent by Noam Chomsky, which should have been the first book you read before you even started thinking about what propaganda was. And understand that this is something that they've been doing for years. It's not far-fetched to know that they spin news stories, they create fake ones to mix in with the real ones, and they flood the zone. And that's exactly what they're doing to people. Even these riots, I know we didn't get to go far into them, they are so sensationalized. Even Hassan is down there. It's a photo op. Nothing against
Democrats giving speeches.
It's a photo op and a campaign platform.
I saw a clip
Trump
of Maxine.
And them alike.
Sorry, Sarah, but I saw a clip of Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters was giving a speech like she was looking at the troops. I should have prepared this clip. I'm sorry I didn't. Maybe I can find it quickly. But there's a clip of Maxine Waters like, you should be ashamed of it, and all the crowds hyping her up.
Where have you been? You have been in office since like 1943. Stop it.
I'm sorry, guys.
Lana's right. Inventing Reality is good, but Chomsky is the originator. Please read Manufacturing Consent first. It's the only book of Chomsky's that I recommend, because after that, it's all shit. But Manufacturing Consent is a cornerstone, and yes, Inventing Reality by Parenti is fantastic as well. But yeah.
For one, what is the demands of this protest?
There aren't any. It's not a real protest.
You gotta know what dumb leftists do? Dumb leftists just reactionally support whatever. That's why I see a sign there. This is a demo. You have fucking Walmart supporting.
Yeah, like why are these people getting about? And then Laura Loomer calls the CEO of the company somehow. Like we are dealing with Karens on and stuff on like a scale that people. These are like angry letters that you're used to hear about your neighbor. I wrote the manager an angry letter. This is like that on like out in orbit. It's crazy. Everything is just madness. And everything is sensationalized and magnified and amplified to make people be even more manic over it. I've had multiple people go down to the riots in California and try to find them because they can't even find where they are. Go watch the videos. The police. Now, let me say this again. I will reiterate another time. The budget of the LAPD is larger than that of the entire Hungarian military. If they can't quell these protests, there is something seriously wrong and they need a complete overhaul. Okay? The fact that they're not should tell you everything that you need to know because they don't want to quell them. They're parking their cars underneath overpasses and watching as people throw rocks on them and then taking videos of it. This is completely sensationalized. Why? Because they don't need those cars. They don't care about the cars. They get new cars. There's a whole fleet of electric BMWs that the LAPD doesn't even use that they bought because they couldn't figure it out. So so it's not about the cars. They're not destroying property anymore than the cops care about it. It's all by design. There's authentic people in there for sure. There are people that are there for it's not my cause. I don't feel this strongly about it, but commend them. There are real people down there that are willing to put their bodies on the line for what they feel is an important cause. But more than not, it's agent provocateurs and a lot of sensationalism, a lot. And they're like, they're spreading. And why are they encouraging them to spread and stoking these riots as we lead into Trump's birthday bash on Saturday? So everything goes out of control and both sides want it. Both sides want it.
And you guys see how the right-wing influencers are now using this to promote Palantir and AI to track these protesters. Now they got right-wingers to support it now. My whole thing is there was ICE raids under the Biden administration. What is the demands? What are you protesting? So they're protesting the increased ICE raids. There was ICE raids under Biden. You guys know Biden funded ICE. And this is why I know this is Democrat shit. Because where's the rioting for genocide? Where is the rioting for burning up children, spending our taxpayer money on the military-industrial complex? None of that. You guys notice how Democrats, they are only immigration activists when a Republican is in charge. You have liberals that say, oh my God, we did our part. We did our part to vote against this. Trump deported more people than, Biden deported more people than Trump did. The ICE raids didn't stop during Biden, but these people come out and they protest because like, oh my God, we got protest the ICE raids that's starting under Donald Trump. Where the fuck was you when Joe Biden was president? Where $6 billion went to DHS. ICE was funded to record levels, so they didn't protest this. So under Joe Biden, you had ICE that was using prisoner slave labor. They was kidnapping migrants, not giving them due process, and then using their labor. You know why they wasn't giving them due process under the Biden administration? Because they wanted to use them for free labor. You know, the same reason why Kamala Harris advocated against releasing a lot of and easing the sentences of a lot of prisoners because she wanted prison labor. The Biden administration was using DHS for that. Where was the protest for this? You had and you guys know, because if you've been watching RBN, I reported this as this was happening. And what did I tell you guys when I was doing this segment on August 18th, probably? Because these are all receipts I had saved. I did segments on every single one. I told you guys that the second that the Republicans win, then all of a sudden liberals will start caring about immigration again. And then I see this movement come out of nowhere with no demands. And then I see Maxine Waters giving speeches. You got Democrats at these protests giving speeches. Are y'all serious? So listen, under Joe Biden, there was found to be a rampant rise of sexual assault of little girls who were taken in custody by ICE. Government, their own experts did analysis of ICE detentions. They found sexual assault. They found barbaric and negligent conditions in ICE detentions. This wasn't worth protesting over. Do you guys see why I'm not? And you guys see why I didn't do like a breaking live stream on this protest? You guys see why I'm not on this protest? Because I support. It had nothing to do with the methods that these people are using, because I'm not necessarily for peaceful protest. But if you're going to have a non-peaceful protest, there need to be a goal in mind. If you're going to engage in violence, there need to be a goal in mind with a set militia. I am a Marxist. I believe in scientific revolution, my friends. I am not supportive of movements that are moving like a chicken with their head cut off. Exactly. They have no demands. They just burning shit with no explanation. Yep. What is your strategy?
Who is the vanguard? Who's the leader?
You guys see where I'm coming from on this? I'm not opposing anyone protesting. My whole thing is, what exactly is the fucking end game? Because you know what we did, the protest that I was at? We had the end of genocide protest, and we had demands ending United States support to Israel, ending all U.S. support for the Zionist regime, supporting the Palestine. You guys see the difference? How we had the Free Palestine movements that was not defended by the media at all. Now also you got CNN and MSNBC like, oh my God, actually this protest, they're actually protesting legitimate things. So this whole thing, this seemed like partisan bullshit to me. This to me is no different than the Trump protest.
Well, I mean, they have it's so movie-esque. They have Gavin Newsom, then suave Democrat that's the favorite for 2028, running against up against the big Goliath of Trump, who wants to come down there and arrest him. And Gavin says, "Come get me, tough guy." Yeah. You know, it's like ridiculous and cinematic. They love it. They're eating it up. And all the California wine moms are like, "You go, Gavin. You get him." Like, it's so ridiculous. It's if I could grab the dog, hold on.
Guys, feel free to disagree with me if you guys. I'm not feeling it, man. Like I am seeing Democrats use this to fundraise. The second I need to find this damn clip. I keep referencing. I wonder if I can find it. That clip of Maxine Waters there. Whenever I've seen Democrats at protests, supporting protests, I immediately become skeptical, bro. How many Democrats was at our March for Medicare for All? You know why I gave a speech? Not a goddamn one. AOC wouldn't tweet about it. Bernie wouldn't tweet about it. We have Free Palestine protests. Democrats didn't tweet about it. So whenever I see Democrats at these protests, I'm like, bro, what is going on here? But anyway, Sarah, any last thoughts I know we went a little bit long.
No, we're fine. We're fine.
We try to keep it at an hour, but we can wrap up. I think if you guys disagree, because I am legitimately interested in hearing if people think I'm wrong here, because I know a lot of people have been hyped on this. The Hassan Piker left loving this because they all about Democrats. Like, this is all about being part of the Trump resistance. I am pissed because there was nowhere to be found when Biden was president. Nowhere to be fucking found. Nowhere to be found during genocide. You know what I mean? It's to protest Trump's immigration plan, which was the exact same as Biden's. Like, the fuck y'all talking about? And if there was a movement that had legitimate demands, because I'm gonna found there are 10 demands. I'm believing liberating ourselves from the police state. There's no one saying this shit. There's no list. We had 10 demands where during the George Floyd protest, we was going around and giving organizers a list of demands to give to the local government. If you guys understand that protest without any demands is a prep rally. Let's hear that again. Any protest without demands, without set organized demands, is just a protest. Let's get together and feel good. I am not a revolutionary. I'm not believing in that nonsense. Sarah, I'll give you last word. Let's wrap up.
No, I absolutely agree. And that's the point. That's the most important part of protests, is to not to be organized and rigid or, military, like militia like. The goal is to be organized and have a cohesive message and a cohesive plan. And that's how you create a movement, not this weird, we just put our bodies in the way and hope that the police hurt us. I don't really understand the method or what they would hope to accomplish or what the plan is. I also believe that this immigration thing, we cannot treat America as a monolith. The things that are going to solve the problems in, say, Florida are not the same things that are going to solve the problems in California. If you rip the illegal immigrants out of the system of California, California will collapse. California will collapse. And not only people are talking about removing illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants, they're talking about everybody. They want to get rid of everybody. This is an insane idea, and it's something that will not work in most places. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, they get their wish and they remove all of the Latin Americans or Latinos, Latinx, if you will. I like to make fun of the woke people. Latinx, they move them all out of California. California has an enormous economy. Do you understand what that will do? Do you have any idea? And California doesn't want this. Why are they picking on California? Why didn't it start somewhere where people really do want the immigrants to be deported? Exactly, because they want to go up against Gavin Newsom because they want the show.
Disgusting. We are surrounded by disgusting political theater.
Didn't start in Texas. It didn't start in Texas because Trump won't give Greg Abbott any problems, right? Because he busts the immigrants out. He did everything Trump told him to, but they won't do it in Florida because of DeSantis, because they're kind of friendly. But they'll do it in California because he gives them
that's how you know this is bullshit. That's a great point, and that's probably one of the most revealing arguments against.
You probably could get them deported from Texas, from parts of Texas and Florida, because the people would be for it. But you chose California. Why? Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
I don't know this number is right, but this number is right. We had 4,200 people watching us across our platforms.
Oh, wow.
I have no idea. Like, dude, this number right? There's no way that number is right. Either way, I love these cross streams because DDG, we both have pretty good big X followers. We're pretty decent on YouTube. So whenever we launch up this stream, because we stream in 4 platforms, cross platform, we get a lot of people watching. Dude, I look at this number like, dude, that can't be fucking real. So. Like, yeah, it's 4,000 people. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the stream. We doing this bi-weekly. We were doing it on Thursday, but I didn't want to do this on Thursday because I
actually like it on Wednesday better. So good move, Zoya.
The only reason I changed it because I didn't want to stream like right before the Savvy JB. Usually Thursday is the Savvy JB show. I didn't want to change it. That's why I'm glad and I appreciate you being flexible with me, and we were able to do it on Wednesday. So we will be doing this again 2 weeks from now. Not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday afterwards.
Yep.
Sarah, you already know I always enjoy having you on. It's always fun, very therapeutic streams. You guys see I'm always very ranty when Sarah joins us.
Good
anything you want to shout out?
Nope, we're good. Just ddgeopolitics.com, guys. Well, we're working on some new material, but we'll see you guys on Sunday.
Peace out, y'all. Take care.